Hello, all you freedom-loving people. Welcome to another episode of Front Page. I'm your host, Scott Cameron Goulet. Biden's classified document scandal has been escalating, and the FBI searched his private home and found more classified items. Biden's son, Hunter, lived in the house where the classified documents were kept until a few years ago, and Hunter was close to a top Chinese communist spy at the time. So did the classified U.S. documents get into the hands of the Chinese Communist Party. Illegal immigration across the southwest border reached an all-time high in December, but that was after the Biden administration's new policy to reduce illegal immigrants from certain countries. The incoming Democratic governor of Arizona was unfazed by the decision to continue the practice of the previous Republican governor of sending these illegal immigrants to sanctuary states. Elon Musk revealed that after his second booster shot, he felt like he was going to die. His case has once again raised concerns about vaccine injuries. Okay, let's get into it. This past weekend was the Chinese New Year. Traditionally, it's a day to celebrate and not a day to do or say anything that would make people uncomfortable. But on that day, an horrific shooting took place in the small Chinese majority city of Monterey Park in California. The crime took place at 10 p.m. on the evening of the 21st. Tens of thousands of Asians gathered in the street at the time to celebrate the biggest and most important New Year's event of the year for the Chinese people. The local sheriff's department commander, Andrew Meyer, confirmed that at least 10 people were shot and killed at the scene and 10 people were injured. The victims were 5 men and 5 women. Witnesses saw a suspect flee the scene in a white cargo van. Police have identified the suspect in the shooting as being an Asian adult male on Sunday morning. Police later stopped the white van, and during the standoff, officers heard a single gunshot from inside the van. Police quickly retreated and later deployed armored vehicles to surround the scene. As the SWAT team approached and cleared the van, it was determined that the man inside had self-inflicted gunshot wounds and he died at the scene. About 20 minutes after the fatal shooting at the first location, the shooter had brought the gun to a dance club just 2 miles away. Brandon Say, a 26-year-old third-generation dance club owner who was in his office getting ready to close, saw the gunman enter and he fought with him. The club owner saved the lives of the people in the dance club and he prevented a potential tragedy from occurring. The weekend celebration in Monterey Park was one of the largest in California. Saturday's New Year's event drew tens of thousands of people. Local officials canceled Sunday's event out of respect for the dead. White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain plans to leave his post in the next few weeks, people familiar with the matter said on Saturday. The source said that Klain had informed Biden of his plans. The New York Times also previously reported that Klain might leave after Biden's State of the Union address on February 7th. Klain has a long history of service in the White House. He served as Chief of Staff to former Vice President Al Gore and as Biden's aide during his tenure as Vice President. The Chief of Staff position is one of the most important positions in the White House. He was responsible for driving the president's policy agenda and for ensuring that the right people are hired. Biden was spending the weekend at his home in Behemoth Beach, Delaware, when the news broke. People say that Klain is the backbone of the Biden administration. The New York Times described Klain's departure as a rare turnover in the top of the U.S. government. In the past 2 years of crisis and political struggle, the U.S. government has not been very stable. A senior government official said that Klain has been communicating his intention to leave since the midterm elections in November of 2022, saying the position was exhausting. After Klain's resignation, the former White House new Coronavirus Response Coordinator and Presidential Advisor Jeff Zients will become the new White House Chief of Staff, according to multiple media outlets. From late January of 2021 until early April of 2022, Zients served as the White House COVID Outbreak Response Coordinator and the advisor to the president. Zients was the director of the White House National Economic Council, the NEC, during the Obama administration. Prior to that, he served as a director of the White House Office of Management and Budget, the OMB. And during the Trump administration, he was the CEO of the investment firm Cranemere, and he was also a member of the board of directors of the social media giant Facebook. On Saturday night, Biden's attorney released a statement saying that the Justice Department conducted another search of Biden's Wilmington, Delaware home on Friday. The search turned up 6 other items with classified markings. Please note that the wording which says 6 items does not necessarily mean 6 documents. The items found could be folders, or they could even be boxes of documents. The Justice Department was allowed to conduct a full search of Biden's home, including his handwritten notes from his decades in politics, as well as files, reports, and flip charts. The New York Times noted that the Justice Department conducted a massive search that lasted 13 hours. It ended up withholding some information about the 6 items. The search began at approximately 9:45 a.m. and it concluded at around 10:30 p.m. The search covered all working, living, and storage spaces in the home. So some of those classified documents have been in Biden's private home for up to half a century. Biden's personal attorney, Bob Bauer, did not specify where the documents were found in Biden's Wilmington home. Previously, classified documents were found in the garage and in nearby storage rooms in the same home. The White House had previously claimed on January 14th that the search for all classified documents was completed. Biden has been under tremendous pressure lately for mishandling classified documents during his vice presidency. His approval rating has fallen to 40%, which is close to his lowest ever rating. Friday's operation was the first search of government documents by federal law enforcement at Biden's private address. The search also signaled that federal investigators are rapidly advancing their investigation into classified documents in Biden's possession. The development came as a surprise. Many are speculating whether this means that the Democrats are abandoning Biden. It's a little too early to tell, so we'll just have to wait and see how this all unfolds. Before we move on to the ongoing concerns about Hunter Biden's business ties to the CCP and to Elon Musk having major side effects after his second COVID-19 booster shot, please like and share this video to help us spread the truth. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you have already subscribed, we thank you, but please double check to make sure that you are still subscribed, because some of our audience members have mentioned that they are somehow unsubscribed without their knowledge. Okay, let's get back into it. Rex Lee, a cybersecurity expert with experience in advising the private sector and the government, said in an interview with NTD TV that classified documents from Biden's private house in Delaware highlight ongoing concerns about his son Hunter Biden's business ties to the CCP. Lee said, if you look at Joe Biden as vice president from 2008 to 2016, these documents have been at that residence at least from 2009, if the reports are correct. And that's the same time that Hunter Biden was renting that residence, which is Joe Biden's home. In 2013, Hunter Biden's investment firm Rosemount Seneca Partners signed a deal with Bohai Capital, which is a subsidiary of the state-owned Bank of China. The deal was signed in order to form a $1 billion joint venture investment fund called Bohai Harvest RST. Lee states, Hunter Biden was actively lobbying on behalf of BHR during this timeline. Another Chinese businessman, Patrick Ho, who has ties to the Chinese military intelligence and to the CCP, was very close to Hunter Biden at that time. Lee also said there's another concerning piece of information, and it has to do with Chinese businessman Patrick Ho. He was also associated with and very close to Hunter Biden during this period through the BHR relationship. Patrick Ho was a Hong Kong-based businessman, and he served as Secretary General of the CEFC subsidiary, which is the China Energy Fund Committee. According to a Senate report, he was later charged and convicted of international bribery and money laundering offenses stemming from his work for the CEFC-backed China Energy Fund Committee. Entities connected to Hunter Biden in 2017 and 2018 received millions from CEFC, and Hunter Biden had referred to Ho in an email as the explicitive spy chief of China. Lee took note of the fact that Hunter Biden might have had access to the documents when he was at the apex of his alcohol and drug problem, and at the same time being associated with Patrick Ho. Lee said, "You can look at this as a dangerous mix here, and all of this together poses a national security threat to the United States. At least 2 Democratic senators have called for a full investigation into Joe Biden's handling of the classified materials. One of them is Democratic Senator Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin blamed Biden's mishandling of classified documents as extremely irresponsible and disturbing. He said these allegations should be investigated fully." During his interview with Fox News, Senator Tim Kaine also made a call to appoint an unbiased special prosecutor to investigate the matter. According to figures reported by the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, the CBP, a record number of more than 250,000 illegal immigrants were found crossing the southern U.S. border in December of 2022. This is a 7% increase from November. Customs and Border Patrol said that the increase was driven primarily by an increase in the number of individuals fleeing the Cuban and Nicaraguan dictatorships. Despite another record-breaking number of intercepted illegal immigrants, Acting Commissioner of Customs and Border Patrol Troy Miller said that it shows that the Biden administration's efforts on the border are working. He said this because the number of Venezuelans crossing the southwest border illegally is in steep decline. It's down 82% from September of 2022. The Biden administration had made recent changes to its border policy. These include a parole program for Venezuelans that was launched in October of last year. But what the program does is it allows up to 24,000 Venezuelans who cross the border illegally to enter the United States on parole. These Venezuelans must meet certain criteria in order to qualify for parole, including having a sponsor in the U.S. to provide financial and other support, among other things. However, under the parole program, Venezuelans who cross the border on foot or by swimming after October 12th of last year will be deported to Mexico under the Trump-era Title 42 immigration rule. In early January, the Biden administration expanded the parole program to include nationals of Cuba, Nicaragua, and Haiti. Now, finally, the nationals from these 3 countries and Venezuela who crossed the U.S. southern border illegally are also now subject to deportation under Section 42. Republican lawmakers have accused DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas of violating immigration law because of the way that the Department of Homeland Security was implementing parole authority. Mark Morgan, who is a Heritage Foundation visiting fellow, calls the situation on the southern border a catastrophic crisis. Morgan said, under the last Democratic president, 25,000 encounters was a borderline crisis. But for the Biden administration, 10 times that number is simply business as usual. Arizona's new governor, Katie Hobbs, is a Democrat, but she has said that she'll also continue the practice of her predecessor. She will continue sending illegal immigrants to other parts of the United States, but there have been some changes in the way things are done. The press spokeswoman for Hobbs, Jocelyn Berry, said that the new administration is taking a different tack than the former Republican governor, Doug Ducey. The Ducey administration used buses to send immigrants to Washington, D.C. But the new administration wants to send the immigrants directly to the designations that they want to go, and the method of transportation is not limited to buses. Elon Musk revealed on Twitter that he felt like he was dying after his second COVID-19 booster shot. He wrote, "I had major side effects from my second booster shot. Felt like I was dying for several days. Hopefully no permanent damage, but I don't know." Then he introduced that he had previously contracted COVID-19, but it was only like a mild cold. The more vaccinations he received, the worse his symptoms became. He posted, "I had OG C19 before vaccines came out, and it was basically a mild cold. Then I had J&J vaccine with no bad effects except my arm hurt briefly." He also mentioned his cousin's case. He said, "And my cousin, who is young and in peak health, had a serious case of myocarditis, had to go to the hospital. One person asked, 'You took a second booster shot. I thought you were smarter than that.'" Elon explained it was the request of the German government. He wrote, "Was required to visit Tesla Giga Berlin. Not my choice." Musk posted this string of Twitter posts in response to a post by Rasmussen Reports. In the post, Rasmussen Reports criticized the CDC's narrative that major side effects are rare. The post reads, 68% of 260 million adults, 177 million, indicate they received the COVID-19 vax, and 7% of those reported major side effects. That translates 177 times 0.7 into approximately 12 million people. The CDC says major side effects are rare. So how many people does the CDC estimate had major side effects? And regarding mRNA vaccines, now pharmaceutical companies are working on methods to add vaccines to our foods. We have a short video talking about this topic on our new social media platform, Ganjing World, which means Clean World. Please watch this short video on Ganjing World. I'll leave the link in the description below. Okay, that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you so much for your support of Front Page. Please remember that every like, comment, and share helps more people to see the truth. We've also heard from many of our viewers that they don't get notifications of our videos anymore from YouTube. So please follow us on Telegram, Gab, Getter, True Social, and on Ganjing World for the latest updates. Okay, this is our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, please don't forget to like and share this video with your friends and family, because everybody deserves to know the truth. Again, thank you for watching Front Page, and we will see you next time.